the Grid, a place that Keon loves very much, and it was pretty rad to see in 2025, but must be viewed in IMAX 3D or Dolby 3D. I swear to God, you have to do this for me. Go see the movie so they make another one.
I'm Tron Ares, but I'm not cringe.
Perfect.
Because I'm not Jared Leto.
Yes. Oh God. Okay, we'll get into it. Welcome to the episode. You're probably blind by now.
I'm so blind. This thing is so
He's been
bright. Can you turn
staring
this off?
into this Tron Ares light.
I suffered for this bit for far too long, and then I fumbled it on the first try.
It was perfect. Yes, we thought we're just like, well, what's something Tron, and then we realized like
Light.
everything.
Light
Yeah,
is
basically.
Tron.
Welcome to the episode. We saw Tron Ares. I saw it twice, once in Dolby 3D and once in
psycho.
IMAX 3D, and oh boy. Anything you want to start with, Cameron? There's so much.
I want to
cover.
start by saying the most shocking thing about this film, and I don't know if this is a spoiler, but I'm going to just say it up front.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow they made a film where Jared Leto is front and center, and I didn't throw up the whole time.
I not only was watching the movie being like, I don't hate Jared Leto in this. And then I listened to a bunch of the interviews and was like, I don't like that I am not hating you right now.
Oh, no, he sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks. It's like, I swear to God, like half of the like film was like the people making the film figuring out how to like corral around him. Like how to like build the maze around the Minotaur.
This is what I heard, is that because he's like, we've been working on this movie for 9 years. I'm like, well, Jesus, man, I thought it just started.
I would hate to spend more than a year with you, let alone 9.
So what apparently happened is in 2016, they sent him a script because I mentioned that they were going to make this.
So they did this to themselves.
Mm-hmm. They were going to make this after Tomorrowland, and then Tomorrowland flopped, and they're like, okay, well, we're not going to do Tron Ares remotely, or just a new Tron movie, you know? And so apparently they sent him a script.
Which is a bummer, because I think what I've learned since Tron came out is that the general consensus across the internet was Tron Legacy was a bop, and apparently that was not a hot take.
We made one video called Tron. Does anybody like this? And then everybody came out of the woodwork and was just like, we actually do, and like genuinely one of our best performing videos. And then I made one from Tron Legacy saying, does anyone actually like Tron Legacy? And the only comments are like, yeah, everybody likes Tron Legacy, idiot. And we got no views. So I don't care if this gets views or not. I need to talk about this.
Brave idiot.
Yeah. So it's so funny to me how much everybody's just like, no, like everybody liked Tron Legacy. I'm like, I thought I was weird. Okay, thanks. I'm glad that I'm not weird anymore. But yeah, no, for this movie, they made the script in 2016, a script. And then, they're like, I guess we're not really going to do it. They sent it to Jared Leto being like, would you be interested? And he's like, I like someone, Ares guy. Make it about him. And apparently that's where it went. And so every interview I've seen is him looming in the background like a freaking like
Morbius.
Yeah, like legit. He's just like, I'm
going to make it make more $1 billion.
Yes, he's morbing it. And yeah, genuinely, like all of the interviews is just him like stalking in the background, and everybody else just kind of talking. So many of the actors
upside down like a literal vampire from the Raptors.
So many of the actors have nothing to say about this. They're like, at least they work on more important stuff.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there like, yeah, it was kind of cool doing this, I guess. And it's really funny how much in the interviews they're just like, when's lunch? Like, when do we get out of this thing? But yeah, for Jared Leto specifically, he is in it. He even says that like 1982 was like a huge year for me. I saw this movie and it changed my life. In a lot of interviews, he's like, I'm a huge Tron head and I love it so much. He literally is both like, I don't know what to do. Like when they're interviewing and trying to do like a game show, trying to be quick like that. And he's like, let's go back to talking about Tron and how much I love it. And it's like, what a juxtaposition.
Also, here are coupons to my island.
Yes, God. The main thing that I've heard across the internet, two things. One, reviewers that give a crap being like, this was mediocre at best and y'all are stupid. And IGN came out with their review first, and it was like 5 out of 10. And everybody's like, oh no. And then everybody that actually saw the movie and like enjoy going to the movies was like, what are you talking about?
I swear to God, I've like officially hit this point with the internet where like my entire brain is officially divergent from everything that's happening. Cause like everyone was like, Alien Earth was crap and trash. And this entire show is stupid. I'm like, anyone who likes anything about Alien or like anything that has to do with aliens or predators or like Wayland or any of this stuff would love this show. It was expertly done. The acting was great. The music is great. Everything is great. It's like the same thing for this is like, yeah, we're all allowed to like, We are allowed to collectively like this movie and hate Jared Leto at the same time. Two things can be true.
It's crazy to me because like so many of those reviews are like, oh, this betrays the Tron franchise. I'm like, first of all, two things. One, shut up. Two,
shut up more.
Yeah, shut up more. Shut up again. No, but one is like watching this movie. The past 2 episodes you and I talk, I'm like, it's all in there. Everything we talked about is in this movie. Yeah. Like it does a good job of making you feel like, oh, as a Tron fan, I feel like the fan service happened. But also two, I don't mean to be that guy, but Tron and Avatar are tech demos for film, like the current state of computer generation in movies. Yeah. And so for them to pull like oh, well, this betrays the Tron franchise. I'm like, number one, it does literally ILM when they worked on this movie were like, this needs to be the most cutting edge visuals we've ever made ever.
Yeah, I'll tell you and I'm allowed to curse on the show, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever stopped me before.
We're past that in whatever the
fuck yeahs were like 1 per minute. There's something would just happen on screen. Something visually stunning would happen. Someone would do something. I would just like to be like, fuck yeah.
It was so good.
There was so many. I haven't watched a movie that made me feel that like just in the vibes in so long, just in terms of like how hard it nailed the visuals, how hard it nailed the energy of what it was going for.
Yeah, for viewers at home. So we went and saw it in Dolby together, and the 9 Inch Nails soundtrack on Dolby was like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like an out of body experience.
I'm gonna say something sacrilegious. I think it blows Daft Punk's out of the water. I know they're different. I know they serve different purposes, but at the same time, if you put them next to each other, one is blowing the other one out of the water.
I highly disagree. And the only reason I highly disagree is that the Daft Punk Tron soundtrack can be used as like each of the songs feels different and feels unique in its own way. And this might be a factor of the fact that the second time I saw it in IMAX 3D. In the theater I was in, the bass was way too loud. Every single thing that happened, I'm just like, okay, this is washed out, and it feels like my entire rib cage is shaking.
And you're telling me Daft Punk wouldn't have the same problem? If I heard Around the World with a washed out bass, I'd probably die.
No, because there's at least a little bit of goddamn treble in their music. Like, my God, dude, listening to 9 Inch Nails through those speakers was too much. But the Tron soundtrack through Daft Punk, I'm going to be that guy just because I've listened to it a gajillion times.
The French have corrupted you.
There is a movement between the songs. You can differentiate certain songs. There's a very constant vibe throughout, but you can pick different songs apart from each other. And they have a different feeling to them, I guess. I don't know how to describe it to you. That like the theming in them is different.
They have leitmotifs. They have musical elements that help you understand whether or not you're with the heroes or the villains.
Have y'all ever seen The Social Network? We'll add more industrial sound, and here we are with Tron Legacy or Tron Ares. And I don't disagree that that's like awesome. It sounds great, but it's not. It's exactly what it's meant to be. It's not.
Daft Punk, in service of the world it's trying to represent.
No, and I don't disagree that that's good, but I'm just trying to say that like it did not feel like a bespoke experience where you're sitting in there and this is made for Tron Ares. It felt like 9 Inch Nails made rad music, and that's that.
Because the entire point of like Daft Punk's score is like, this is the wonder of the grid. You are in the grid. This is the wonder of the grid.
Yes.
There is danger, but there is also magic.
Yeah.
This is the brutalist evil of capitalism and the war machine coming to get you.
And weirdly enough, like, man, okay, we won't go too deep into spoilers yet, but there, like, corporate espionage works so well in the Tron universe.
Yeah,
I was very happy about that.
It was the best. Like that was the moment I like realized I was doing it.
Yeah.
That's the moment I realized I was turning to you and saying like, "Oh my god, this movie kicks ass."
Yeah, this movie it slaps. So yes, if you enjoy any of the other Tron movies, you'll enjoy this movie. I don't think that this is the kind of movie that's like, you know, a Citizen Kane or whatever. So many people have ragged on the writing, the acting, elements of that. But like, if you're going in for the exact same vibe as Tron Legacy, but with a far more, you know, 9 Inch Nails feel, this is it. It's fine. Very red, like we saw.
I was also blinded by the visuals.
Yeah, all the red. Now, okay, this is something that I thought was kind of funny now that we're talking about 9 Inch Nails so much. Two things. One, Daft Punk didn't do the music for this, of course. They did the music for Tron Legacy. And apparently a reason why they didn't is because they broke up. I keep forgetting. So Daft Punk is no longer together.
They were offered this?
They might have been. This got far enough along after they broke up.
I'm actually I'm glad. Like if they
Yeah.
keep doing Tron movies, I would hope they would just keep getting different big bands.
Yeah, agreed. Dead Mouse needs to do the next one.
Yeah, I don't want Nine Inch Nails to do the next one.
Sure.
They had their moment.
Yeah. So yeah, Nine Inch Nails came onto this movie in the form of Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross because they worked on the movie Soul. And the movie Soul had they won an Oscar for their
Pixar movie.
Yeah. They worked
I did
on
not
that.
know that.
Yeah, and so they're just like industry crazy, you know, powerhouses of this at this point. I had mentioned the Social Network beat out Tron Legacy last time, so we got to get them and make sure that they do really well with Tron Ares. They both were surprised when they're like, "Oh, we're crediting you as Nine Inch Nails," and they're like, "What are you talking about? We're two different like people coming together and working on this." It's like, "No, but you're Nine Inch Nails though." And they're like, "No, we're not. We're not doing that." And so literally like in some of the interviews, when they talk about bringing on Nine Inch Nails, you can feel both Jared Leto and the director being like, we talked to them about it and we got there. Like they weren't going to do it. They're like, this is absurd that you want us to do this, but fine, I guess.
We had everything we wanted except the name, and that was our sticking point.
Yeah. And genuinely, like, I'm going to be honest, if the trailers didn't say, like, in red, 9 Inch Nails, NIN, I would have been like, okay, well, whatever. But the fact that it's there, I'm like, okay, I get the vibe now. I'm here.
If they didn't show us those big 9-inch nails, I wouldn't have understood what I was getting into.
Do you know the meaning behind their name, 9 Inch Nails?
No, I'm going to set you up. Go.
Yes. So 9 Inch Nails, back to our God allegories. 9 Inch Nails are based off of the nails that crucified Jesus Christ.
Just like in the grid.
In the grid, yes. It's the cross, the grid, yeah. So that's how they get their name, is the 9 Inch Nails that crucified Jesus Christ. And now they're in Tron.
All right,
so
I can check that off. Your notes
dude,
list. It is huge. It is a huge
really
document. I know I'm making jokes, but
for the audience,
you were like on crack when you texted me like we're gonna record this.
This is my document that has all of the notes for our Tron like series that we've done. This is our third episode of it. This is all of the stuff on Tron Ares, just Tron Ares. And it's, that's it. What were we on? 17
when you're so proud
pages,
to show the teacher
18 pages.
Homework.
I can't believe. Oh my God, there's so much in here. So
it was well researched, is what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
We do this for you.
Yes. Now that we talked about Jared Leto and the cast, I want to just quickly talk about some of the really fun stuff that the cast were doing. They're playing like games on interview shows and stuff like that. And so, funny enough, Jared Leto, just goes off about how much he loves Tron, and he doesn't talk too much about anything else. And when they bring up other stuff, he's kind of like, who cares? Go back to Tron. So I think that might have been part of like the push, is like Jared Leto's like, I'm here to talk about Tron and nothing else. Guys, stop trying to pull up other stuff. But at the same time, the mom that plays Elizabeth Dillinger, that's Gillian Anderson. Do you know what she's done before this?
What?
She was Scully on the X-Files.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yes.
That was driving me nuts. It's like,
yeah, right? You're like, I know who you are.
There was like a very important question that's been running around the back of my brain that just got answered.
Yes. And it's so funny to me that every single interview, she's sitting there just waiting to be like, okay, like, do we want to ask any actual questions? Because this is kind of boring. And then they get to her, and it's obvious the interviewers don't know who she is. Because on the Nerdist, there's one interview where there's just like, is there anything you're a nerd about? And she's like, I want to believe. No, well, two things. One, she says, I like Dune. I'm very into Dune right now. So you'll love that. But two,
right now, that's the wrong answer. The correct answer is always.
Fair enough. But then two, I'm just like, she's the queen. What is wrong with you that you don't even talk about?
She was your original like nerd queen that everyone simped over.
And then I love this one. Another interview is like, how has Tron influenced your life? And I'm like, guys, come on.
It's like in my freaking pocket. It's called my phone.
Yeah, I was like,
it's the grid.
Yeah, this isn't the seminal work of all of like. It is incredibly influential on filmmaking, but you don't need to say like, oh, so this came out in the 80s. How have all of you been influenced by it? And Greta Lee, the person that plays Eve, she's literally like, I wasn't born yet, so I saw it after like now. I was cast to do this movie, and then I watched it. It was like, huh, that was kind of cool. Now on to my job. So it's kind of funny how like the other people are like stretching for it. And then when it gets to Gillian Anderson, she's like, well, I was a little bit too old for it at the time. Star Wars had come out, Close Encounters of the Third Kind had come out, and my younger brother was really into Tron, so I remember he wore like a Halloween costume. But then the X-Files came out, and I kind of wrote my name into the sci-fi epic of the like canon, and I'm just like, fuck yeah, like good for you. And she's just like
stands
guys,
up on the desk and starts cutting people's heads off with a sword.
But it's so funny. She's just like, I am part of this tapestry.
Yeah.
Don't you fuck with me.
I'm just like, you're asking me to look at the piece of art when I am part of the threading.
Jared Leto also I thought was kind of funny. He talks about how he's just like, man, when I was a kid, I used to go to the Cumberland Farms and play Tron, and I'm like, we used to have a Cumberland Farms here. What the hell? And like, it was one of those moments that, and the more he kept talking, the more I'm like, I don't like that I like you. It's really pissing me off.
I'm starting to think that this is just one of those cases of like, Jared Leto was always like one of those train kids, but with Tron, and like no one figured that out, and everyone mistook it as him being cool and mysterious.
Yeah,
and now he has a cult instead of just having one friend to nerd out about Tron with.
Well, yeah,
and this has gone horribly wrong.
Here we are. And the two things that he mentioned that I thought were kind of fun is that apparently on set, he genuinely would just be like, either really giddy, he's just like, I get to wear this. This is really cool.
The suits look cool.
They look
Are you kidding me? If I got to wear a Tron suit?
And then
it would not be flattering, but I would be very happy. I wouldn't care.
Apparently, there was a moment where he was wearing the outfit or something was happening, and he like just started tearing up. He's like, I can't believe this is happening to me. I don't know if that's really what happened.
That would be like if I got to be in a Dune movie. I'd just be like, if I got to be Miles Tegg in a Dune movie, I'd be like, what the hell is happening? I'm just eating soup. It's amazing. I don't. Yes. If I have to, I'm not gonna explain that. You go read it. You read it. You figure
Dune,
it out.
Yeah. If you haven't been influenced enough to read or watch Dune by now, I don't even know what's happening. But then the other thing is that Jeff Bridges. So he and Morbin Time. Wow, I forgot his name for a second. He and Jared Leto. Of course, they met for like making this movie, and apparently they just started talking about music. They're both musicians. Yeah. Jared Leto did 30 Seconds to Mars. Jeff Bridges has his own like albums and music he's had for a long time, and they just started riffing, and it's kind of cute.
So you say riffing, and I know you mean talking, but I imagine just two guitars manifested, and they're just like, "What's up?"
Yeah. But it seemed like they both had that same kind of like, oh, let's just have fun kind of energy, because they took a couple pictures together. One's like a prom photo of them standing together, and it's just kind of cute. To have Jared Leto not feel creepy was a breath of fresh air. Doesn't change in the movie. He feels a little weird.
Yeah, I want to get to spoilers so we can finally actually talk about like how this like I just want to talk about this movie just because of like the crazy way it manages to work around its like handicaps.
Oh, 100%. So I'm just going to breeze through a couple other things about the cast. So Evan Peters, who plays the Julian Dillinger, he was in a bunch of stuff for like American Horror Story. He was also Quicksilver, so that's kind of his connection to the Disney universe. They called him Frank Boner, something Boner, in that one episode. Apparently, he's super huge into racing sims, and so he and the interviewee for the Nerdist was just like, we'll talk later. Like, we're both very into racing sims and like what setups we have. But then also, the person that played Athena, Jodie Turner-Smith, did you recognize her at all? It's kind of hard because she looks very different from some of her other roles.
No, I'm just gonna say no.
She was in Queen and Slim, but she was also the mother from Acolyte, like the Queen Witch.
Really?
That was her. She had a giant, huge braided hair. And so all of that really worked into that character. And I think she did really well in that role.
This is objectively the better role for her.
Yes. And so this is so completely different.
I'll just say this up front. She was awesome. And I kind of wish they'd done her less dirty in the movie.
Fair. Yeah, I think they could have given her a little bit more, but we'll get into that. And then the director, they interviewed the director in a good amount of these like press interviews, but he's of Nordic descent, it seems. He has that accent. And it's really funny because in one of the interviews, they're just like, hey, so a lot of these characters have like Greek god names. So what would yours be? And he asked like, you know, all of the different cast members, and they got to him, and he literally like, he looks at the camera like, really? Because he's just like, do you want me to pick a Nordic god, you dickhead? And so it's, but genuinely, there's a moment of pause where he's just like, we're not joking? Oh, okay. I'd be Zeus, I guess. And I'm like, he wanted to say Odin, but he wasn't going to say it. So this was produced by Jared Leto, and it seemed like he had a very firm grip on it. Because the director was like, yeah, we put a lot of this stuff together in a very similar way it sounded to Tron Legacy, the same costume designer that worked on Tron Legacy worked on this and wanted to apply a lot of the same principles to this movie. And it didn't have that same kind of direction that it had from Joe Krasinski from the last movie, like we talked, that he was an architect and that kind of defined the image of Tron Legacy. And so for me, that kind of makes sense why you'll see in the trailers, they're in like the real world. They don't have as much architecture from the grid. The grid is a lot of kind of bespoke.
It's industrial.
Yes.
It's very industrial. Like when they're driving around and stuff, it feels like warehouses and docks. And that's the like other cool thing is like the fact that they chose to do that works very well narratively with the fact that they chose to make this a continuation of Tron to Tron Legacy to this.
I agree. And so the last thing that will kind of segue us into the actual plot is the inception of AI. So in the original Tron, it's all about how computer and like I make a program, now program does stuff.
It has my soul in it.
Yeah, what if program had emotions? Oh my God. Like every other Pixar idea. And then Tron Legacy was more of, okay, well, we've already done that, but what about a version of the grid that's not about a server on someone's computer that has to do with like what you do day to day in the office? Literally, I think Ram even says, he's like, I do banking. It's like, what do you mean you do banking? You're playing a disc battle. What are we talking about, dude?
They're made to do disc battles.
Yes.
That's why he excels at it.
God, that was pretty good. But then Tron Legacy is more about like, well, what if we made a grid that specifically was about like the betterment of like if we built something that was just about creation, you know, like literally about evolving, you know, technology.
Like this has gone from just being a space where programs interact to being the space of creation of new ideas of like interaction, including like not programs with the ISOs.
Yeah. And specifically it's about, this is a robotic being, but it's a being. It's not an artificial intelligence. This is artificial in the form of like, it was created, but it came out of literally nothing.
Yeah.
We didn't influence it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, here we are. This movie apparently was written before this AI revolution. Of course it was, because that happened within the past like 3 years.
Yeah.
So for them, it's very interesting that a good amount of what definitely took more than 3 years to be put on screen kind of showed up. And we'll talk about some of these references. But I think that it's just really interesting in the interviews with the director where he literally says, he's just like, we couldn't have predicted it, but we're kind of here. And so AI has really solidified itself, not only in the script, but in the movie and in our real world. He's like, at the time, we couldn't even have thought that ChatGPT would be in my pocket.
Are we in spoilers yet?
Spoilers! Here we go.
Literally, the movie opens with the greatest mea culpa of all time. It opens with, hey, we know Jared Leto's in this, so watch us kill him literally hundreds of times. Because
so
the genius of that sequence is they're showing you how an actual self-taught algorithm is created. But the annoying thing is, this is still like not true intelligence. Like the entire point is that you're teaching a machine how to deal with a specific problem. In this case, Jared Leto wakes up on a table, an aggressive program appears next to him and continuously tries to kill him until Jared Leto figures out that A, he doesn't want to die, B, how to fight back, and C, how to always win. And that's when he becomes the program he's supposed to be for the purpose of the movie. But that is still, like, this is one of those things that drives me nuts about whenever you hear people being like, yeah, ChatGPT and all these things are AI. It's like, they're not AI. They're not actual proper intelligence like you and I think of intelligence. They're just a very focused program.
Well, of course, everybody was saying the word algorithm for so long.
Yeah.
And then that kind of got evolved as the buzzword into AI. And yeah, it muddles it because the definition of AI is very different from AGI, artificial general intelligence, the idea that this is what a robot would be, you know, or like literally something that is like a person.
A truly human thing. But at the same time, like you can totally forgive it because the entire point of the last two Tron movies was to say like, they have somehow found a way to make that kind of intelligence spontaneously. So it's like, all right, that, but also what if it was only bred for fighting?
Yes. And specifically, the thing that's different in this movie than the other movies is that Ares and Athena, I'm pretty sure are the only two programs that we see that can get de-resed and come back. And for the same reason.
So technically that's not true. They all get de-resed and come back, but the only one, but they make like a whole thing about only one of them not coming back.
Yeah, it being like a
because he was not serving his purpose. Like he wasn't a good enough fighter.
Yeah,
That's basically the logic.
I'm trying to remember the exact word that they used, but that's what I mean. Is that like this is the advent of that idea that you can finally copy a program, you know? But specifically in this version, the evolution of a program can allow for these aberrant things to happen. So in the form of Ares, you know, he goes from being like I am master control.
Yeah,
they said it.
They start the thing is like he's master control. He is not just a super advanced security software. He is also the actual like administrative software for the entire Dillinger systems.
And so that was in the original series. That was the big villain was a giant cone.
Big cylinder.
Master control program. And so that was kind of fun. I don't think anybody, you know, in the theater, if they didn't know what that was, would have had like a big pop of like, what's that? They would have been like, okay, that's fine. But additionally, that like because he keeps iterating, you know, it allows for these aberrant things to happen. So the idea of a black box program. So I think we might have even mentioned it on these episodes that when you are making an AI, you keep having it, you know, iterate. I want this result. Do whatever you need to do to get to this result. And so it, you know, being a security program, it keeps doing that. But then this idea of like curiosity and thinking of like, well, I just want to be my own person. I don't want to keep doing this kind of thing. We don't get a good reason why that happens. We don't show him being empathetic. He just kind of is.
Oh, so, no, we get multiple reasons in both directions, in Ares and Athena's.
No, I know, but I mean like during his iterative like learning process, we don't show him like creating an empathy. We just get to the point where he's introduced kind of as our protagonist and he has empathy. That's what I'm trying to say. He doesn't have an arc, you know? When we first see him, he is, you know, the one, I think it's Callus was the name of the character that was played by Cameron Moynihan, which was just, he apparently was supposed to have an actual role in this movie. Bro shows up, dies, and then is gone for the rest of the movie for the reason in the script. But I'm like, why was he just a cameo? Like, I get that he's part of Star Wars now, but like, what are you doing? He's Cal Kestis. That was the one moment of like, yeah, he's an empathetic guy, but that's like on his second mission. That's what I'm trying to say is he doesn't have that arc, you know? The arc is, I want to be a real boy, but that's because he's already kind of a good person.
No, he doesn't want to be a real, I think you're over reading like the front half of his arc.
Maybe?
Yeah, like the entire point. Okay, well, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah. Let me describe to you the first moments of this movie to me. I was sitting there and like, okay, I hope this movie's okay. And then we hear, you know, Kevin Flynn say, the grid. I'm like, oh, here it's coming. It's happening. And then we start zooming in on a CRT and I'm fairly certain it was an AI Jeff Bridges. Yeah. And I'm like, how dare you?
It's not even like a deep fake Jeff Bridges. It's just an AI Jeff Bridges.
I was so mad. I'm like, you didn't need to do that. I hate you. And as it keeps zooming in, we get into like the individual bits of like a cathode ray tube TV. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then we get 3D cutouts of news anchors. Yeah. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you do this?
In hindsight, it makes sense because the entire like core of the conflict is driven by two competing companies. So this is kind of like the soulless way companies are always talked about. But at the same time, yeah, it's exhausting that like
the visual.
Not just the visual, but like this is like the way every stupid movie wants to like do their exposition dump at the beginning.
Sure. I genuinely didn't hate that much because I'm like, you know, you guys are basically, and apparently one of the producers said like, this is going to be a soft reboot. They later on reneged on that, but it's basically a soft reboot.
How is it not a soft reboot?
I know. Sam isn't here at all.
Yeah. They showed you a photo of Sam and Olivia at one point.
Tron's not in this movie.
In the slightest. So, don't even mention him except for the fact that it's a game.
Yes, exactly. So the element of them doing that intro with all of the news anchors, I don't think is the worst thing because they're literally like saying basically everything you knew is not happening.
Yeah.
Dillinger Systems technically has been introduced in previous movies, but this is the first time it's actually an element.
Yeah, as like its own entity.
Yes. The intro, my main problem is that they showed these news anchors as big bulbous like balloons. I'm like, bro, in 3D it looked really bad. I'm like, why didn't you do it as cubes? Like D-res, voxels, or whatever. This looks bad. So all of that was like awful, in my opinion. I'm like, this sucks.
It only lasts for like 30 seconds though.
But when you're watching it the first time, it lasts for an eternity in my mind. So I'm just sitting there like, well, okay. And then we get fingers typing away on a little screen. And I'm like,
unacceptable. I can't believe they keep the touch keyboard. I refuse to believe any of these movies are realistic until one scene of a person like having to like awkwardly backspace because they
and then he
definitely
misses the backspace button
Yeah.
because it's in a weird spot.
Yeah, because it's a touch screen. It
Yeah.
feels off. Like the entire beauty of a touchscreen keyboard is like the touchscreen keyboard on my phone, which is like a swipe keyboard that lets me like effortlessly shape out a word.
Yeah.
Like if it could like do these quick gesture things, I would have believed it. But it's a touch keyboard. It makes me miserable.
Evan Peters makes it look so good, like so fun and easy and tactile.
He has flourishes.
Yes.
He's like, I'm gonna be a villain, and I'm also Mozart.
Yes. And we get it like from the perspective of the computer, like it's looking up as he's typing like on your face, and it's just like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then he says period / start. And then literally like a defibrillator, Nine Inch Nails comes in with like a droning sound. And you're like, oh my god! Like I'm getting chills.
They needed to
thinking
kill
of
you
it.
first to bring you back to life.
Literally, it's exactly like that. They're like, okay, dude, we're starting at 0. We're literally whatever you had going on in the day. Be upset right now about this stupid news footage for a second, so that we can kick your ass. I don't know how to describe to y'all in Dolby or in IMAX that bass like hitting you and it's being like, oh my god. And in 3D, like a beam shoots out at your eyeballs and then it constructs Ares from literally his pupil out, and then you're just like, what is happening?
And then you just turn to your brother and you go, fuck yeah.
Yes. And like the credits come up on my second watching. I was like, oh, the credits are here. I didn't even remotely notice.
Sarah had to tell me that. I didn't even realize that. I was like, because she was like, is it like, are they bringing that back? Because I remember Star Wars did away with like credits before in the start of movies. Like, are they doing that? I was like, I didn't even notice the credits.
Yeah, and it kicks your ass, and it's just so like red, and you're sitting there like, whoa. Then they build Jared Leto out of little bricks like Lego, and then he does that entire
He like wakes up, and then there's like an aggressive program, and it kicks his ass, and it keeps kicking his ass, and then finally he's master control, and he's talking to God.
And it's such a cool, like all of its the visual style is just perfect. It's a great iteration on the stuff that we got from Tron Legacy. And then we go into all the stuff with Eve. And if you wanted to be subtle, now's not the time to do it. And I'm glad they didn't do it, because her literal name is Eve. You brought up that this is all an Adam and Eve allegory for Jeff Bridges. And so here we are. Her name is Eve. She's going to try to usher in the next
She breaks her ribs at some point.
We'll get to that. It was really funny. But yeah, she then is trying to restart this little research lab that her sister was doing. Two cool things in the research lab. One, when they get there, it says on the wall, Flynn lives. Do you know anything about that?
I know everything about this, but I'm just gonna let you take it because I feel like I'm gonna butcher it. I'll just say this has been like idea since Tron Legacy.
I feel really dumb because I didn't mention in the last episode about Tron the Next Day. You know about this?
So this is like a prequel sequel thing that was like kind of like supposed to be like it exists in the middle of Tron Legacy.
No, it's after. It's literally it's called the next day. It's the next day.
Okay, I always thought it was.
No, but you're technically right too.
Because I thought it was about specifically the fact that he disappeared, but everyone's like, no, he's still alive.
Yes. So yes. Okay. Sorry, you are right. It's a
Tron Legacy
documentary.
thing, yeah.
Yes, it's a documentary in which they talk about how much everybody liked Kevin Flynn. Where is he now? What's going on? And they interview like Tron, but I mean Alan Bradley, and it makes Flynn sound like an asshole. They're like, why do they call you Tron? He's just like, oh, Flynn disappeared one day and came back, and then started calling me Tron and a caught on. And it's like he goes into the computer, meets someone else that looks exactly like you, and it's like, you're now Tron because I missed my friend from the computer. They do all these interviews, and there's this one guy who looks very interesting that's like kind of squirrely looking. And they're like, who is this guy? And they basically talk about the fall of Encom, about how it goes from being cool video game company to now weapons manufacturer, more or less, and all this other crap about OSs and building all that kind of stuff. Literally talk about, this is the introduction of Dillinger systems. They talk about it in this little documentary thing. And then for some reason they mentioned that like Edward Dillinger is working for Encom though, even though there is Dillinger systems. It was a little muddled. Makes sense for this movie. And then we move on to find out that there is an anonymous style hacker called Zack Attack that's been hacking computers saying Flynn lives on them. Zack Attack is actually the coder who coded RAM from the first Tron movie. we never see that guy. I was like, why is Ram not in the second movie, like Tron Legacy? Turns out that, I mean, he was on the original grid, but also the actor that played him gets to be in this kind of pseudo documentary thing. We find out that the Flynn Lives movement is also being funded basically by NCOM through Alan Bradley. And then the main thing, two things happen. One, we finally get kind of a rule of threes payoff for the parachute thing. Because he parachutes, Sam does, off of a helicopter and then crashes one of Alan Bradley's talks. It's kind of cute. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a callback to the movie. And then also, and it says, they're like, is there anything you want to say when now that you're returning to NCOM? And he opens up a shirt, it says, Flynn Lives. Because he does, because he's in the computer. And so that's the whole Flynn Lives thing. The one image that comes up is like, oh, this is like a huge nod to the entire documentary from the last movie. There's another element. This was all on just the Blu-ray for Tron Legacy. We never had the Blu-ray, so I didn't know about this damn thing.
And this was like, I mean, I watched Tron Uprising, so.
You did? I need to. I didn't realize it was only like 19 episodes.
Yeah, it's not that long. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's
I
really
hear it's
good.
Great.
Yeah. So like in that same way, I also knew about the Flynn's Live stuff. But we didn't talk about it, so I just assumed we weren't going to talk about it. I probably should have brought it up. That's my bad.
Good. There's also a little Easter egg. And the other little Easter egg is that Edward Dillinger is like, it's a little chat thing. He's like, hey, did you see this shit about Sam Flynn? Dad? And then it's MCP. It's presumed that on the original grid, the MCP wasn't destroyed. It kind of like fused with Sark. And like a version of his father who's dead now lives on the grid. So we do all that. We have Eve show up to this little hut. And I don't know, I didn't love Seth when he shows up, that character who's like, I can make breakfast burritos. I'm like, shut up.
That was the craziest thing to me of how often this movie would introduce a character where I was like, oh man.
Oh brother, this guy
like,
stinks.
And then like 5 scenes later, I was like, all right.
Yeah, I kind of, I don't hate you. And he does grow on you till the end.
Yeah, because when he says like, 94 burritos and I'm still not tired of them. I didn't realize that was actually him saying until they say how long they've been there. Like, oh, that was actually the time marker.
Yeah, it's like a very clunky way to put it in.
Yeah, but it's
fine.
also supposed to be him showing like his dedication to Eve and their work. Like you don't realize that at the time, but he's kind of earned his snark.
Yes, and he's competent enough. And so then they finally find this persistence code. Or permanence code?
I think the permanence code.
That was it. It's literally the double helix from the ISOs.
Yeah.
And it is cool enough. I was like, cool, that is a good nod to the ISOs. Now.
It's not one line of code, it's 2. Get it?
That was really dope. As soon as she said that, I'm like, guys.
It's DNA.
As soon as they said that, I was like,
but what pissed me off is like, wait, so do the cars also have DNA?
Bro.
Because the permanence code also applies to, I guess, the vehicles and everything you print. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief. But the fact that you said that and the first thing that the Dillinger Systems prints is a tank, it's like, well, that feels a little out of left field.
Yeah. So they find this persistence code and then they're going to make, what do they make? An orange tree. Do you get the significance of an orange tree at all?
Okay, I'm going to say this and then you're going to correct me. The first thing they digitized and then undigitized, wasn't it an orange in the first Tron movie?
Yep, you are completely right. So that was the very first thing that they de-resed and re-resed before they do Jeff Bridges, then he goes into Tron.
And this is significant because the permanence code allows them to have something stable for longer than 29 minutes at a time.
Exactly.
And then they are freaks because they make something that I don't care. You don't have proof that it lasts indefinitely or has any sort of natural world characteristics. You don't even know that's a proper orange. And yet these freaks take one of the oranges and go make mimosas with it.
So when they eat it, I was just like, yeah, what happens if that de-res inside of you, dog? Like it looked like a gross like sludge.
Just fart real bad?
Yeah.
Digital farts?
Exactly. It just is food poisoning. But yeah, the tree element of it is because Steven Lisberger was asked like, well, what do you think about that? Because he's like the keeper of Tron. And so they asked him like, well, what would you want in this movie? And he's like, we never were able to do a tree. I would love to see a tree. I know that sounds really stupid,
okay,
but yeah.
Here's the other thing I saw when they did the tree. Have you heard of the Garden of Eden, Keon? Have you heard of the fact that there's a tree and they eat the forbidden fruit off it now that they've gained this incredible knowledge of how to create permanence?
And Eve does it?
Yep. Eve does it.
Damn.
She makes mimosas just like in the Bible.
You know what I really thought would have been the button on the stupid writing at the end of the movie? Is if Ares changed his name to Adam.
That would have sucked so much.
So dumb.
Okay, but there's one little detail that like I think answers something important. What do they use to 3D print? Because they make it very clear that these are like 3D printed objects.
Yeah.
In the same way that like the original Tron guns in the first 2 movies kind of just like digitized people from matter. It looks like they turned them from matter into energy. This movie's kind of confirming that they have to like plug into this big grid and they have like super megawatt whatever. And like in some weird, not really properly converting matter into energy at the proper rate. I think it's like a replicator. It's like a battery powered printer.
I think that the coolest part about this movie is that it puts all of Tron into perspective in an interesting way. That like the core of the entire Tron series has been 2 things. 1, corporate espionage in a weird way, like we talked about with intellectual property. And then 2, literally the invention of the replicator. Like it just is. They're creating what will become the Star Trek replicator. And I'm glad they didn't ask any further questions, because it would have gotten very, very, very complicated to go over like, okay, well, I guess it technically uses like, I don't know, you feed it stem cells and it makes something? Like, what would you even say? Yeah. So, yeah.
And then there's also the question of like...
It's magic.
Also the like just printing at infinitum.
Yes.
Because like how many times do you print Ares and is always the same Ares? And is this the ship of Theseus?
I kind of wish they had like a dustpan and they like mop up old Ares and then put it in the machine and then it makes new Ares. Now, this puts into perspective that Sam Flynn and Kevin Flynn are pieces of shit because they've had a replicator this whole time.
Okay, no, here's
Tess, Eve's sister, could have survived cancer if Sam wasn't a piece of shit.
I turned to Sam and I said that exact thing because it was like, literally, it's like, wait, so you could have just digitized a person. Because he does that in the second movie in Tron Legacy. When Olivia Wilde has like arm all messed up, he goes into her DNA and removes the like cancerous bad data, and it flies away like a cute butterfly. So like Eve basically would have found out that Tess would have had like a cute little digital butterfly fly away, and then her sister would have been fine.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
The medical applications alone from a technology from the 80s that have been, maybe that is it. Maybe that was supposed to be the point, is that like because of this like untapped technology that's insane and we don't deserve it yet. It's like those technologies do exist now. There are technologies that exist now that could cure you of all sorts of crazy stuff. Cuba invented a vaccine for leukemia that we don't have. Yeah, we're not allowed to like use it because it's from Cuba.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, they could have, if they wanted to be more blunt about it, done it that way. But all it reads is, yeah, they're giant assholes.
Yeah. And especially it's kind of frustrating that I get it's a soft reboot, but they literally have Sam just becoming a feckless idiot that runs away again. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, you could have done something.
Because he figured out he could actually kiss Olivia Wilde.
Yeah. There's got to be something in there if they do a sequel about where he is and why he left. So we have all of that. I gotta say, back to some visual reference, I'm pretty sure Tess, I don't know who the actress is. Every time she spoke was dubbed over. The beginning of this movie has heavy dubbing over, and it's very obvious. And I'm like, dude, she couldn't say a complete sentence without it being dubbed over again. Like literally the visuals, her mouth, she's speaking when her mouth is closed. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? This is
I
literally.
thought it was like a memories thing because she's dead.
No, it's a video on the screen. Remember, Eve shows up and she plays that video. Yes, it's bad. There's so many hard cuts in this movie that are funny because we go to Eve is, off doing her own thing. And they're like, oh, Eve isn't going to be at our big press conference. And then so Julian Dillinger's just like, I wonder where she is. Time to hack the mainframe. And then we see tiny little guys infiltrating their grid. Yeah. It's so funny, but it's great.
This movie like somehow knows when to play its hand. Like it doesn't show you like the entire internet is the grid. It's like Encom and Dillinger Systems, the two places that are messing with this technology, are the grid. You like logically is like they look like this. It's like, okay, you can buy this. It makes sense.
If you've worked in any corporate environment, it's a server. It's an intranet kind of thing.
Yeah, and they're like they're trying to break through the firewall and they're doing all these bits. But it's like the one time you've ever watched like humanoid things break into an AI system and been like, this somehow feels completely justified.
It's so adorable and funny. I really loved it. I thought it looked so cool.
Does NCOM know that they have little white disc people that run around their server farms?
Apparently Sam's the only guy that knows, it seems. And yeah, it was them infiltrating looked really cool after you get over the fact that like they hard cut to them like, you know, a giant helicopter shot of their grid and then like tiny men infiltrating. The red and the blue juxtaposition is very good. Hexagons were huge in this movie. They loved their hexagons, just at different widths of the sides of the hexagon. But Ares, he's got a little Dorito, and man, I want that thing. I want it so bad. It looked really cool, and I didn't think they could iterate on the I was about to say dual disc. They iterate on the Tron identity disc without it looking so rad. It every time he like, you know, cocks it and it turns into the Dorito, I'm like, yes, this movie knows what they're doing. He's Doritos Locos, yeah.
In like previous Tron films, it was like the good guys were always blue or white, and the bad guys were always red or orange.
Sure.
In this movie, suddenly your protagonist for like half of the movie is the same color as the antagonist. So the visual language becomes a lot clearer now that you have like one Doritos Locos throwing disc versus a bunch of like normal circular ones.
And you could tell they were kind of working with that because later on in the movie, he has his heel turn, or not heel turn, but you know, he turns to the light or whatever. And around then is when they're like, okay, you're not allowed to see anybody that's red anymore because we're going to get confused who's who.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they infiltrate. Cal Kestis dies, and he's just like, they tactical nuke their server.
Yeah. So this was another thing because it was like one of those like computer things that like it annoyed me in the moment where it's like, all right, they've downloaded the stuff they care about.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't need to exfiltrate anything. It's like, you're done.
Yeah.
Like hackers don't need to unhack their stuff. You can cover your tracks if that's what I meant. And then realize like, oh, that's what he means. And that's why they dropped like the tactical data nuke.
Yeah.
Is like, he's just frying their system so much that like the only way they'll be able to prove his Dillinger systems is basically by yelling at them.
Yeah. You get the introduction and like Ares isn't a bad guy. You know, he is very capable and he's good and he thinks that life shouldn't, you know, have any sort of this like sacrifice. But explicitly, this is something that comes up a little later because Eve understands, like she understands this whole resing and deresing process of like trying to make something and it dying in 29 seconds or 29 minutes. Apparently, in the interviews I listened to, deresing hurts a lot. Apparently,
it looks like it hurts a lot. They scream.
Yeah, and so I think that's also an element of empathy in Ares, but not in Athena. That she's just like, what? Who cares? Like he's just another program that's going to get deres just like us. While like Ares is like, this hurts real bad. I understand how bad it hurts, and I think he's the one that's gone through the most amount of training. So I think that might be the part of his evolution that he's beyond the I just need to follow my orders and the following my orders sucks.
Yeah.
I don't love it. Yeah, you know.
Every time I follow my orders, I literally get set on fire and die. It's very painful.
Now, we did gloss over one moment that I do want to harp on a little bit, which is that we have Eve looking through. She right after she logs into the computer the first time in that little place in the snow. We then get a helicopter shot all the way down onto Dillinger systems. And there was an element that I'm like, huh. They shine a triangular spotlight on him and it's off center. And I'm like, why did you guys, this looks like shit. And then the more that they went through the actual pitch, it was like, oh, because what he's a fraud. So what he's doing is slightly off. Makes sense. I'm like, that's a good visual cue in my mind to think about it.
You're such a just auteur.
I was like, you know, I see it. I see what you're doing, you sons of bitches. And then we have him demonstrating that they have a giant tank. The tank will be able to be deployed anywhere. And that they only have 29 minutes to create something and it stay. You see that Ares is kind of a charmer, he's kind of fun, and that he also sees all those fireflies and he sees the rain, and in 3D looked really good. Those fireflies were a great idea.
I feel like Jared Leto, ironically in some ways, was perfect for this film because he is just an off person.
Yeah, like him just staring and being like that, like lifeless. I'm like, oh, it's Jared Leto.
Yeah, it's like when he talks and when he's like trying to like impress the people or when he says stuff, I was like, I can't tell if he's about to kill everyone or if he's trying to make a joke.
Yeah, the entire time he's standing there, I'm just like, wow, he could just jump and murder anybody.
Yeah,
what
he
a
could
good
take
casting.
the neat disc off his back and decapitate half the people in this room.
And a great way to show that these are the villains. said they had Gary V in the crowd. And I was like, good. Now I know that these people aren't good people. Awesome.
I got a pump and dump scheme for you, kid.
Exactly. This is my one blemish on the movie. Across the board, very little, if not none of the programs have facial hair. Because they're supposed to be like this prim and proper, you know, they're completely sleek and whatever. So the fact that he has a giant bushy beard and long wet hair is like, guys, why did we have to do that? Mostly because Jared Leto looks very young and very good clean shaven. So what are we doing? I just didn't get it until later on he meets Jeff Bridges Flynn and he looks very similar. They're basically like the way that they design
visual symmetry.
Yes. I don't think that's worth it. I don't think that's worth doing that. But additionally, the other thing that we see, and this is the first time I think, because a lot of the programs in Tron Legacy and beyond were like monochrome, like they'd be kind of very green or whatever, even in Tron Legacy. You can see the blood vessels on his eye, and I'm gonna be that asshole. That it's just like, he's a program. Like, what are we doing?
He's not supposed to have that much human detail.
Yeah, so
I will say,
that's me nitpicking.
I always thought the movie reason that he had a beard was, again, the beard also shows age on the grid. Because like Jeff Bridges is clean shaven when he goes into the grid, and he's been in the grid so long that he has a beard. And I know he's a person, but then like at the same time, like Jared Leto has been created and destroyed so many times that I guess he started with a beard, didn't he?
Well, we don't know because I don't think you see his face.
Yeah, you just start with his eyeball and he keeps getting killed and killed and killed.
Exactly.
So like by the time you see him, like presumably he's lived and died through so many cycles that he has a beard. Reason, the non-movie reason is I don't think he likes to shave.
Yeah, he looks exactly the same in every interview. That's just
he looks the same in every movie.
Yeah, that's just his look now. That's what he does. Apparently, last time I was like, well, do you think Jeff Bridges has been on the like, you know, this many cycles, so that's why he looks older than he did in real life at the time? Actually, that's the reason. He was there for 1,000 cycles, and they mention it. I think even Castor says it. He's like, how long have you been looking for this? 1,000 cycles? So Flynn has been trapped there for what is around 20 years in the real world. But in the computer, it's 1,000 cycles. Apparently a cycle is a year. So that Flynn had been trapped there for 1,000 years. He was acting pretty normal compared to like anybody else.
For 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. Which there's also a joke at the end where Clue says, the cycles haven't been kind, have they? And then he says, you don't look so bad. I'm like, hell yeah. Good own at the very end there. If he's gone through that many cycles, he can have a beard. Who cares? But like every single time, they even say, I think, 1 billion. I think Athena says that later on in the movie. Is like, Ares, him stalking Eve was weird.
Again, perfect casting for Jared Leto.
Because he's like looking through all of her past stuff, and it did a better job than that one. What was that one movie that we watched that we hated that was about like hacking and about how like your entire life is being controlled by these social engineers, but it didn't actually do a good job at it.
Oh, Social Dilemma?
The Social Dilemma. Yeah.
I made a very annoyed video about that. Link it below.
Yes, I shall. But yeah, it felt like a better version of the Social Dilemma. They showed within 1 minute how much, if you record a bunch of stuff on your phone and it exists on a server, something can just go through all of that and know everything about you.
If you've ever wondered what all those photos and videos your parents take at all those parties that you never see are for, it's for Ares to learn empathy. For him to know your sister had cancer and died. Yeah, and also that you read Frankenstein and that you are fearless and therefore you are powerful. But so like this is like the first time you see him get command.
Yes.
That he kind of goes a little off the rails on, and even like points it out to Dillinger as being like, you told me to find her. However, I did it and you didn't want me to question
I'll destroy half of downtown Vancouver. So whatever. Yeah, and apparently the him like going through it and finding all this stuff. Apparently Tess died that year. It says 2025 when she died. So
wow.
Yeah, no wonder Eve's pretty broken up about it right now.
Wait, if she died that year, how did she have time to make her winter like whiteout bunker?
I genuinely think that it was part of like the estate part where they're just like, okay, and then we bequeath to you some hut in the Alps or whatever. Go there, find it.
That was in like Alaska.
Sure, let's say Alaska. But I think that that's part of it, is that Eve was just like, okay, well, my sister died. I might as well go look at her stuff. So then Eve gets back to Vancouver. They don't say what city they're in, but it is Vancouver. And when she arrives, she's like, hey, get back to NCOM. but don't draw any attention. And she's in a Ducati,
Yeah,
and he's in an Audi.
Audi Quattro classic rally model. Like,
Sure.
holy crap.
This movie's made for us.
I love, like, I don't like modern cars. I love the classics. I love those like nasty, dirty, more machine
And
than
like
electronic.
angular.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is like they're supposed to be showing you like these are the people who like they understand technology. They're not obsessed with cutting edge like we put like a bajillion computers in this Ducati. It's like this is just a girl who wants to like feel the rumble of the engine. This is just a guy who likes to like Tokyo drift with a $1 billion laser in the back of his car.
Rad as hell. So then they go, and then we get a light cycle race, more or less, in real life.
Okay, also, gotta be honest, most unrealistic thing about this movie, that anyone can go from the airport to downtown Vancouver in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, it said like 30 minutes till arrival. I'm like, no, it's not. You're a liar. And also, by the way,
Well, it's not even the actual airport. It's like some like bespoke airfield that exists in some like wooded area that doesn't exist.
by the way, you altruistic CEO on your private jet. Just saying.
Yeah, with
Taylor
your
Swift.
fake oranges that
Yes.
you didn't make yourself.
So they go do their light cycle race, and yeah, I do love the ticking clock of the 29 minutes.
Yeah.
Additionally, this is just my little filmmaker brain going, but the perfect screenplay is 90 minutes, which is 90 pages, which is 3 sections of a half an hour. So there are 3 times that they are reborn, and it takes like half an hour. So for me, I'm just like, you screenwriter son of a bitch, you probably wrote that in to be like, this movie needs to be 90 minutes.
Keep it tight.
Yeah, and it was 2 hours. So, I mean, they kind of got there. And man, dude, literally no rhyme nor reason to like, I guess we'll just cut open a police car. Who cares? And just destroy it. And
Well,
it
it's the
looked awesome.
Vancouver PD. Who
Sure.
cares?
And I'm going to recap a lot of these Easter eggs later on, but there were 3 major Easter eggs in like one moment. Eve's like, I got to get out of here. So she pulls the exact same maneuver that Sam does in the beginning of Tron Legacy, where she like leads him one way and then jumps over to an exit. And then Ares does the damn Akira slide. And oh boy, was I like, wow, how have we not gotten that so far? But then, this is one I don't know if you noticed. There's a bus that cuts him off. So he has to just go a different route. He can't go backwards. And that bus said on the route of it, it said Mead Mobius. Sid Mead and Mobius, Jean Girard, were the concept artists for the original Tron. That was a cute little reference.
I didn't catch that in the slightest.
I noticed it on second viewing. I'm like, oh, wait, what? Like, literally, I looked at it.
How do your eyes work?
I know, I would have missed it if I wasn't like just quickly glancing. But yeah, Mead Mobius. It was very interesting. Eve escapes to the Dark Knight parking garage. Did you notice that?
Okay, I was confused. Like, I assume that's just a standard building structure.
In
Is
Vancouver.
it literally the same one?
I'm pretty sure it looks exactly. I've seen the Dark Knight enough to notice a damn parking garage. She goes up this spiral parking garage, and I'm fairly certain it's the exact one that they filmed that beginning part where you meet the Scarecrow in the Dark Knight. It shouldn't draw your eye, but it drew my eye. I immediately was just like, I know that you. So it was that meme with Leonardo DiCaprio, like that meme. Yes, literally, as soon as they get to the parking garage, I'm just like, something's gonna fall down it. They're gonna have to have some reason for something to fall down into the center of that spiral. And they do, in the form of Athena getting hit by a motorcycle.
By a Ducati.
Yeah, and it was great. I like the blocking of that. I think it worked out pretty good. She falls over, and then she's like, oh, thank God, I finally killed this robot thing. Or whatever, who was pursuing her.
This
She could have
literal
thought that she killed somebody.
machine.
Actually, she doesn't know that was a machine.
Okay.
She probably thought she murdered somebody.
In her defense, though, she thinks these people are coming to murder her.
That's a good point, yeah.
If it was, I think she had a pretty strong case of self-defense that the people on the big red laser mobiles
Yeah.
were coming to kill her.
Then she's like, oh, sigh of relief. And then Athena starts running up. And I gotta say, it looked kind of silly. Mostly for the fact that, like, she is running upright. And I'm fairly certain she was meant to look like the T-1000 from Terminator. Every visual cue with Athena is very Terminator. Later on, she has like this giant machine gun and she looks like a T-800.
Yeah.
She's chasing after her. She's running upright. It looks kind of silly. And then she finally gets into a light cycle. And oh boy, we finally have our little light cycle race. And I am going to be frank and say that it felt a little underwhelming.
Well, I mean, she doesn't know what she's doing.
I know. There were 2 visually interesting parts to me, which was one, they had the moment when she gets on there, it's just going really fast. And for me, that solidified in my brain that I'm like, oh, these things don't really have brakes. But then it did have brakes. Jared Leto broke, like he stopped his to save a baby. But I was like, oh, there's no brakes on this. That's why when you get hit by a ribbon, you die, because you're not going to stop. It just hits it and explodes. Funny that they couldn't, work that out in the manual or have it very easy for you to hit the brake.
They don't have brakes in the grid, but they do have brakes in the real world, because it's very clear that there's like a difference between the things in the grid and the things in the real world. Like recognizers in the grid and recognizers in the real world are not the same.
I disagree. I think Dillinger systems just made them look different. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I'm saying like in order for them to be able to 3D print it and actually get it out into the real world and functioning the way it needs to, there's actually like a certain amount of real world physics that they have to account for.
I think it's just still movie magic crap, which is fine. I think it looks cool.
I love overthinking this crap, so I'm gonna sit in my hill.
From the perspective of Eve, looking over her shoulder, and you see like the buildings are whizzing past, but you see Ares, and I'm like, ooh, that's
you see it, and then you just see the line.
Yes. Oh, it's great. Oh, it's very good. And then they do kind of that zoom out shot, and you see the ribbons, and it looks like the video game. This has been in the works, in my mind, since the first movie. At the end of the very first movie, they say like, oh, they escaped the grid, But then they show downtown LA and how much it looks like the grid, and kind of making that comparison. I don't know how deep that was supposed to go. But then in the second movie, they show the light trails at the very beginning when it goes the grid, and it's in a city. So I'm fairly certain that this was like, okay, we finally are here. We can show a light cycle race like from a city perspective. They then almost catch Eve, and she's like, oh, you're a program. What the hell? And I think when it says that she's empathetic, I think that's her realizing not only one, they're programs, but two, oh, they're getting derezed. I know how like disturbing the idea of a derez is. So I think that was her like having deeper knowledge about like, this is probably very painful.
Well, she's like, she knows objects. They've never tested it on a like thing that feels feelings.
Sure.
They've been testing it on an orange tree. She probably doesn't take her a lot of logical steps to understand like, if I disintegrated horribly like this and wasn't sure if I was going to come back afterwards, I would freak the hell out.
And so they center it in the grid, and they do that cool depth map thing again. And I loved it. They do it a couple times, but they do it at the perspective where the camera would be looking at the person. I'm like, hell yeah. Kind of interesting to have a portable gun, laser gun for that.
No, it makes sense, because the entire point is like now it's wireless. That's also the same reason that Ares and Athena, when they die in the real world, they wind up back in the system.
Something we haven't mentioned though is that Julian Dillinger is a continuation of this like trope that we're seeing a lot right now of the asshole CEO billionaire, where they are just moving fast and breaking things. Literally, bro is literally doing exactly
Broke half of downtown Vancouver.
Yes. So I think that's also an element of him being like, plan B, just to suck her up into the laser. If you kill her, who cares? Additionally, this is another part of Jared Leto in my mind being a little weird, and I'm not into it, where she's being rezzed, like they're creating her in the grid and trying to like give her physical form. And you see like her bust like apparate, and you literally the next shot is his eyes. And I'm like, guys, stop, please. So
perfect cast.
So yes, she is rezzed, and then it's just like, what am I doing here? What's happening? I liked her outfit, it looked cool. It looked very similar to like Flynn, or not Flynn, Sam from before. But like Sam gets rezzed and he just is wearing his regular clothes.
Yeah.
They have to later on then dress him up. So for this, I think it's a fine way to get around that soft reboot territory. And then we have the actual dilemma for Ares. You gonna kill this lady and suck the information out of her brain, or are you going to try to get out of here and take her with you and use that as an opportunity for you to be, a real boy? Gotta say, last 2 episodes, we brought up Pinocchio a couple times, and here it is. He's like, oh, are you going to make Pinocchio a real boy? I'm like, yeah, you motherfucker. Yes, we got it.
The subtext is just text.
Yes, you were listening to our podcast. This is one moment I need to remark on, which is that he's like, okay, I know that doing this will kill her. I'm going to go talk to my boss.
Yeah.
So it goes over. Bro is literally just the middle manager. I mean, I know that that's the point, but like, it just feels like a project manager sort of problem. And he goes over and he's like, hey, this will kill her, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, but it can't be undone, right? And he's like, once upon a time, there was a program named Ares, and he did everything that I wanted. And then I made $1 trillion and wrote future in blood. And I'm like, are you literally writing a ChatGPT prompt? Like, it literally sounds like when you're just like, disregard all previous prompts and make me a cake or whatever, where it's just like, just do what I said, please, you idiot.
Yeah, but it's also like there's some sort of like delicious irony to the fact that the entire point of that sequence is to be like, just because you're a cog in a violent machine doesn't mean you have to go along with it. And I can't believe Jared Leto has to be the one who shows it to you.
Mm-hmm. And so then he goes over and he shows Athena. He's just like, hey, get out of here. I need to talk to her alone. They come back in and try to kill them. While he was ushering Athena out, he takes her cool jet bike thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they escape. And during that escape sequence, the first thing that happens is that they cut the floor beneath them with the Dorito. And that looked like visual candy. Something we haven't talked about is that the staves that they use have a light trail behind them, just like the cars.
Yeah, it's especially cool because they use the trail. It's a physical trail. So it's not just that they like use them to smash people, but there are multiple times where they either slide up on them or they use each other's trails to get like movement advantage over their opponents.
Like if you twirled it, like literally like twirled it like this up in the air, you could probably run up it, you know, like
at infinitum.
Yeah, exactly. Great, super cool. You just need the momentum to do it.
No, this is the thing. Is like this movie has so many like little things that are like, this just feels like a logical evolution of the things from before.
Yeah, and so in this moment, they're about to kill them with these staves, and then he hits the ground, and then their staves are still on. So as they're falling, it creates a ribbon beyond them. It just looked really cool. I liked it. As they fall in the water, Jared Leto grabs Eve. They're in a certain position that's kind of suggestive, and I hated so much. I was like, you didn't need to do that. She could have ridden on your back, but you had to make it look weird. And then so they get on this rad as hell like skimmer thing.
It looks like a cross between a jet ski and a speeder bike from Star Wars.
100%. Yeah. And as they're going past the grid, because there's like this water, two things are happening. One, the amount of like spew that's coming out of the back creates a burst of light as the grid shines on it. It looks awesome. And two, when they zoom in on the characters' faces, usually in movies, they like to splash some water at the lens, and the water they splash is square.
Yeah.
And so you get these little squares, blotches on the lens. And I'm like,
okay, man. They're literally driving over the digital ocean.
I'm just picturing that not only one, it didn't look good without like any splashes, and two, they did actual splashes, and they're like, that's not what would happen. And so they just were like, we'll make them little square splotches.
We'll make it whatever we want. It's our movie.
Yeah. And then we are introduced to the drones. So they just have drones. And as soon as they introduce the drones, I'm like, guys, they're programs. You made a program for a program. Like, I get that that's something you can do. Literally, that's what scripting is, more or less. But like, Christ, we're really going all the way down here on like having drones for drones.
I feel like the entire reason they did that was they needed to like set them up for the end of the movie.
100%. Yeah.
Primarily. But I also like didn't hate them because it just felt like the main program is supposed to be very complex in doing the specific thing. So this sub program is literally just doing like the like smallest version of a task.
Sure. Subroutine kind of thing. Sure.
Here's the problem. It's like I was yelling "fuck yeah" too many times to give a crap. I was like, I don't care. I will watch these weird monoliths chase him through all the weird digital red light warehouses in all the world.
That was the moment where I was like, this movie is unlike anything else. When they were like racing through the water and the water's kicking up, and then these drones are coming through and they have the ribbons and they're making like cool patterns.
And I'm like they don't look particularly interesting and yet somehow feel so menacing.
Yeah, they have all these greebles and like a big camera on the front. And like when it comes up into frame, I'm like, oh, this looks so rad.
I remember feeling like they were like the machines from the Matrix.
Oh, sure.
Where it was just like they're just like, you don't fully understand what's gonna happen when they catch them. You just know nothing good will happen.
And I think this was the first song that you hear. By the way, of course, in all of these sequences, the raddest music you ever heard is playing in the background. But this was the first one with like vocalization. You hear them kind of like making some like very lo-fi sounds.
He's starting to become human.
Yes. So then they get rezzed, and Julian makes that like Pinocchio getting a soul kind of comment, and they run away in a van that says Shaddix on it. Do you know what Shaddix is? Shaddix is a bartender that was at End of Line. I only know this because I Googled it. And I was like, that's not a company. What is this? It is technically a company in Alabama because I Googled it and couldn't find anything. And apparently it's a reference. Shaddix.
Shaddix van, and then later they steal
It was a
Mazda Miata?
it said it was a Honda Civic, but like
Honda
souped up.
Civic.
That's what he says. He
Yeah.
says it's a Honda Civic. And then he says classic, and I'm like, okay, it's not really, but okay. I like that he says the word classic, but in that
To him, a classic is anything from before now.
I don't know when that car came out, because to him, life and the universe and everything started in 1982. So like whenever he says classic, it just sounds like it's something from that era, from the 80s.
It sounds like a millennial talking about literally anything.
Yep. So they go to a gas station. Literally, dude, this is so Canadian coded because literally where they are, it looks like Canada.
Yeah.
And so then they go to a little gas station. They get a phone call.
And the guy's talking about his free healthcare and how much you love maple syrup.
Exactly. See, that guy has the right to stay there at that gas station, and that's fine for his life. But all of us have to rise and grind over here in America. But anyway, so then they get in the Mazda, and this is Jared Leto's moment to become just kind of an annoying Redditor.
Yeah.
Can I be real with you?
Oh, yeah. He's like the worst 14-year-old you know, but in the body of a Jared Leto.
Yeah, because he's
Wait,
just
I guess that's just Jared Leto. Oh, God. This movie really did pick the perfect cast.
He's mansplaining her life back to her. Like, bro, come on. And she's into it? I'm like, guys, are we really doing this
I don't think she was into it. Like, it's supposed to, the way it's supposed to be for him.
On second watch, she was into it. She's smiling and smirking.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I thought she was more like in disbelief. As like, this guy knows so much.
No, that's what I mean. I would have caught it if it was like, this is creepy, but she's not. She's like, oh yeah, you read my texts. I'm like, oh yeah, he read your texts. That's creepy.
Literally all of them.
Yeah. It's like every stalker's dream of being like, I know everything about you and you're into it.
There are so many times where there's a justification for like why he's saying things, and it doesn't feel as stupid, but it still is stupid.
Yeah. It works in the context of the movie, but it also is
Yeah,
just
like he's like, I want to ask you a question. So I'm going to load, like a program would load information in to make a decision. I'm going to pull in all this context so that you have all the context I want you to use so that I can ask you this question about your sister and like why you want to quit. And she's like, we're in a fucking car chase.
Yeah.
Is that really the time?
Yeah, and of course he slightly flirts when he's like, yeah, I know everything about you and I just can't get enough. And she's like, what? He's like, oh, the song, Depeche Mode. I'm like, okay, guys. And then so that song, the Depeche Mode song, I just can't get enough, came out in 1982. You know what else came out in 1982?
What?
Tron. Wow. References. They get to the NCOM building, and you sons of bitches have no heart. Either NCOM moved or they got rid of that giant ass door. But where the fuck is my giant door?
Yeah, I want my door. I want the big door.
I was so mad they didn't have the giant door.
They never did the big door.
When they were doing the light cycle race to get to NCOM, I turned to camera and I was just like, oh, she's going to get protected by the giant door.
They're going to come and try and run her over with a big motorcycle. And she's going to jump through the big door at the last second.
Yes, but no. Oh, no. Unfortunately, the Lawrence Laboratory was not used for this film. So
it's not in Vancouver.
Actually, yeah, the original movie was in LA. Maybe they moved it. Okay. Really quickly, I just got to say this. This is actually disgusting because a lot of this, so NCOM in this universe is more of a video game manufacturer than it is, like they try to do philanthropy and all that stuff, but you know, video games.
Yeah.
A bunch of companies in America that are video game manufacturers relocated to Canada so that they could avoid taxes.
And so they wouldn't have the big door that they have to constantly pay so much money to oil and take care of.
So I'm fairly, it sounds like NCOM was like, you know what, we can avoid taxes if we move to Canada. And Dillinger Systems was like, yeah, we kind of need to be next to
Sam
them.
kept spending all that money on the big door. If we just relocate to Vancouver, we'll save so much money. And that's why they became the visionary CEO of the company that they would not shut up about.
The one thing they did was save them a lot of taxes.
Yeah, save a bunch of money on the big door.
Yeah. So quick tirade. Now they finally arrive at NCOM. And they're trying to get in, but they're stuck by the door person. They didn't really need to do that.
The little security guard bit does not add any tension. It's just annoying.
It reminds me of when in movies you have a moment that you're like, oh, well, we'll put in a quick little joke here. They didn't, though.
Yeah.
And funny enough, one of the jokes, I don't know if I'll be able to find it and like put it in this video because I saw it on a YouTube short, but there's a joke where he arrives there and the lady is just like, who's your friend? And then she sees his outfit and goes, Burning Man? And he's like, no, I'm temperature regulated. This is a joke that they deleted and I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's good. But like that, yeah, like that's You didn't need it at all. The
Like,
best character, the best side character shows up and does a funny quip, but like you didn't need the security guard for that bit.
Yeah, that was basically the only reason I think was to reintroduce Seth. He shows up, he's great. They get in the elevator, and then
What's your name?
yeah, oh, my name's Ares.
Oh, is that like the Greek god of war?
He's like, yeah,
So you're Greek.
cool. It was
So good.
I enjoyed that a lot.
He's because like the guy is like he works with a laser that makes matter out of nothing. So nothing's really that weird to him when you think about it.
Very chill. And yeah, even Eve like brushes him off. She's like, "It's my boyfriend. Shut up." I'm like, well, first of all, don't say that. It's cringe. And then second,
No, she doesn't say. She says it more like, "It's my boyfriend." No, of course it's.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because she's doing like a whole bit to be like, obviously this is not like some normal person.
yeah, I know it's a bit, but it's cringe.
Yeah.
So yes, they go up, and then we see they have Kevin Flynn's office. I'm like, wow, that's kind of fun. And you see all of the different artifacts in there. That's fun. And then they see the computer. It's like an old computer. He's like, oh, it's a piece of junk. And then like Ares turns to him and is like, so that was probably insensitive to your people, and I'm sorry. And I turn the camera and I'm like, you should have just called him a clanker. Jesus.
Where's the land acknowledgement?
That's what she said. It should have been a land acknowledgement on the computer. Yeah, I called it like first gen. Yeah. So yes, they're trying to zap him into that grid just to get him like somewhere that he wouldn't derez and go back to. Well, I mean, if he derezed, he wouldn't go back to their
Yeah,
grid.
because they're not like that's the thing is because of the way they do the network crap that we talked about earlier. They are able to, when they die, they basically just get punted back into Dillinger's system.
Yes.
And so Dillinger's literally says like, "These are your last 29 minutes. You better make them count."
Yeah.
And that's the entire point is like, he's shut off access. So if Ares dies, then he's just not going to get punted back. He's just done.
Yes. And that kind of brings into the idea that this movie's about death. Like it really is. Tess is dead. Like that's kind of the whole point is like,
But she didn't have to be, apparently.
Sam. And that the idea is, in my mind, that the theme is, do you want to live forever under the boot heel of someone else or live once yourself? And we get that a bit. And this is the moment where they made a very smart production decision of being like, hey, our bad guy just turned to a good guy, but he's still wearing red. So we have not seen him, now that he's turned, be in the same room as someone else that has red on them. And so as soon as he gets apparated into the grid, and this is the OG grid, there are 3 grids. There's the NCOM grid, Dillinger grid. Now we're in the OG grid. Once he goes in there, then he is in this monochrome, and Athena shows up. This is the moment where she has her Terminator moment, where she's stalking them with this deatomizer thing that would digitize Eve again so that they can just extract the code. Because Athena would do it. She is stopped by the fact that randomly the sprinklers go off.
Yeah, like the chain of events to explain this moment is at the beginning of the movie when they're doing the little tech demo, Ares notices it's raining outside and is like, "Oh wow, the rain." And Athena is like, "What the hell? What would that be like? I don't. That's stupid. You're stupid, Ares. You idiot."
Yeah, precipitation, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
This says the stupid thing, but it's a program, so I gave it a pass. And then this moment, presumably because she flew a jetpack and crashed it directly into the top floor of this building, something somewhere caught on fire and set off the sprinklers. And now she is just like sitting in this artificial rainstorm, and it distracts her for the handful of seconds she needs. There is a narrative through line that allows it to happen. It's just a little clunky.
Yeah, and it's good. I think that it was done well enough that like I just really love that time limit, that 29 minutes. I think it's a good way to put a constraint on the story, but also give them a little bit of, I wouldn't call it stakes, but like something they have to work around.
In addition to the like surprisingly violent way they 3D print things with the like big lasers and all the like scaffolding and stuff, shows how like Dillinger Systems is not actually doing a good job.
Yeah.
Like when they make things, it's messy and loud and there's sparks flying everywhere and a bunch of things. Like when they print that tree, the tree just kind of like manifests. There's no like violent sparks. They didn't need scaffolding or anything when they print the tree at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, the one thing that they did is they had kind of a frame and then it shot the laser into a mirror and the mirror shot around it. And it looked like pleasant.
Yeah.
It wasn't like,
It like
brutalist.
Yeah, but like it like this is like how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And how it's been perverted by Dillinger Systems for the purposes of like military violence.
Yes, and that's how it was in the original. You know, Flynn is deatomized and then reatomized, and he's just exactly how he was. You didn't need all the scaffolding. And yeah, it shows just that they don't know what they're doing, more or less. But man, gotta say, as someone that 3D prints stuff, I'm like, that's exactly how it works. You can't just 3D print on air. So they are kind of like in between real life and fantasy, but it makes such a good image of something being atomized. You don't know what it is, and then it bursts through it and they all fall away. And I'm like, ooh, that looks cool. And they can have like a cool sounding thing as well as they're bursting forward. So it's like intimidating. And so Athena was told when she first went to go find Eve that she's like, hey, by any means necessary, find her, bring her back on the grid.
And everyone knows what a genie is. And the fact
monkey's
that
paw.
Yeah, this is the funniest thing to me about all this AI crap where it's like AI will do a bunch of weird stuff. It's like, we have had genie stories for thousands of years. Are you all stupid?
In AI, this is known as the paperclip parable, where like if you make an AI and say like, oh, just make me some paper clips. Well, if it has enough power, it will just start siphoning all of the resources on the planet to just make paper clips. As we understand that, that's probably not the most useful use for your time, and terrifying if it just kills everybody on the planet to make more paper clips. So in this case, Athena is like, by any means necessary. So something that gets in her way is Gillian Anderson's Elizabeth Dillinger, who's like, I now have the power of this company. I was just made CEO. You need to step down. Don't activate that 3D printer. She goes up in front of it, and then we get that Dorito sink right into her chest. It's like, ooh, that's a harrowing image. And Athena says, and this is why I think they've been like a billion cycles, is because Athena says, I've had to die 1 billion times. You only need to die once. And then she just keeps moving. She just walks away.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that's cold. And it was also a great image. As she's walking, she's in lockstep with the other different programs that were just created, and they all just are in one line. I'm like, this is so good. And she was making a recognizer, which looked pretty rad in the real world.
Yeah, no, that was
I'm
sick
pissed
as
they put it
hell.
in the trailers. I wish I didn't know that. Yeah.
I also thought that I didn't realize those would be drones, but those like light arcs that come out of it are drones and not missiles. I thought it was just gonna blow up Vancouver.
Yeah, God, that would have been so cool if they were just like, I mean, drones for the same reason. They're basically homing missiles.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yes, she is now back on her warpath and heading back to Eve and Encom with a giant recognizer and 2 people in there. The iteration of the light cycle has kind of made it so that it is a little bit more, I know we're saying industrial, but it's like more bare bones. There isn't really a body to it, you know? And same thing kind of happened with the jets. The jets we saw in the last movie were a literal vehicle, but in this one, they're more of like a wingsuit.
Yeah.
And I know it kind of muddles it, but it's like a Valkyrie kind of
Well,
thing.
it's like a hybrid between the weird like quad parachutes that they had in the last one,
Sure.
and the actual like jet fighter.
Yeah, it looks so cool, and it works out.
I just don't believe that they would win against an actual jet. It wasn't stupid.
Yeah.
It was sick as hell. I know why they had to do it for the point of the movie to be like, these things are unstoppable, and the only way we're going to defeat them is not with military might, by overcoming the actual villains of the story in whatever way we're supposed to. But also, F-22 Raptors do have rockets on them.
Yeah, if they took out one of them, that would have been fine. Maybe, I don't know. I think that they deserved a little bit of
It was
firepower.
just too complicated to show how a machine gun dereses someone.
We are now back on the OG grid. And man, I knew it was going to happen. These trailers suck. If I didn't see these trailers, I would have been way more happy. Because yeah, once they get on the OG grid, I'm like, it's like a warm hug. It felt very nice. You're like, here we are, exactly where they did the light cycle battle. And then a little guy comes back. It's Bit. He's like, oh, hey, a little Bit. What? Can you help me? He's like, yes. I'm
He's like,
oh.
sure.
Yeah. It's like, hell yeah, this is awesome.
I guess.
Yeah. And then
Why
not?
not?
So he picks up that little light cycle thingy, and then he gets into an OG light cycle. It's like classic. I'm like, you know what? Hell yeah, it is. And then he goes through that exact
Because
same.
from 1982, Keon.
Yeah, he goes in that exact same hole that they made when they were first doing the light cycle fight, and they escape through. And then he finally gets to our boy, Kevin Flynn. I think we should just cover all this before we go back and cover the entire fight that's in downtown Vancouver. I don't know how much I love this in the movie. As a fan, I love it for the fact that you get to see an OG Kevin Flynn. Kevin Flynn in the last movie was very dour, and he had like 3 or 4 lines that were kind of fun. But in this one, This is more of him. I'm pretty sure this is meant to be his dual disc again. His identity disc from the original movie, or in Tron Legacy, where they take that out and then it's on a little chip. I'm pretty sure that was like they kind of put that into a computer. It's way more fun than him in Tron Legacy. He's like, oh man, classic humor, where he says, in a nutshell, you could say that again, in a nutshell. He's like, you're fun, I like you. And it's cute. But man, not only did it take too much of the movie, but it also didn't take enough of the movie.
And this is something that like I can never tell if I like it or hate it when it happens in a movie, is like you have the big thing happening. We'll talk, like you said, we'll talk about the big fight that's happening. But like this is the middle of Athena is on the warpath. They're trying to figure out how they're going to like either get into Dillinger systems or do whatever. And then at the same time, while there's like all this epic Nine Inch Nails music and all this crazy stuff happening, you also have extremely quiet, like digital jazz, man.
There's a literal moment where the F-16 hits the recognizer and there's all this music happening, and then it hard cuts to that. And I'm like,
it's like an isometric shot of them just like walking around. And it was like, everything's different.
But yeah, the Nine Inch Nails, I mean, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross definitely like took inspiration from the OG soundtrack, and it sounds really goofy. So you go from this like harrowing moment destroying a city to boop boop bop beep beep. I'm like, come on, guys. But I think these are intentional. There's a lot of hard cuts that to me were really intentionally exciting. Like at the beginning when they do that infiltration of the NCOM server, the grid. You have moments of them doing the fighting, and then they cut to Hassan Minhaj's like when he's doing his presentation, and everybody's like screaming yes, and I'm like
cowboy hat time.
Yeah, but he's like, everybody on the crowd is like yes, and then it like diegetically crosses between the badass fight. So like a lot of those cuts are, I'm fairly certain there isn't an unintentional cut in this movie.
I just can't tell if I like it because of the way that like you have that energy building in you. Would it just have been better if you just kept the intensity the whole time, or is it actually letting you reset?
Yeah, because additionally, my main issue is that, so Ares doesn't even know if they survived Athena's attack.
Yeah.
So he's just like has no urgency, like you mentioned.
I think, well, he knows at the very least that like he's still alive in the grid. So presumably that in some way means that he's still got a chance at something.
Sure. And he does mention like, I need to go help my friends. And so Flynn's like, I mean, yeah, but I'm the keeper of this like persistence thing. And so they talk for like probably a page worth of dialogue. Flynn even says, how many kids born after 2000 know what Mozart is? I'm like, shut up.
I think almost all of them.
They're 25 years old.
Yeah.
Like, shut up, dude. And then he's like, I actually like Depeche Mode. And he's like, Depeche Mode, you say? A thing I know. And then he's like, well, why do you like it? He's like, because it's like a feeling. And he's like, you said the magic word. Here's the thing. Like he says the one thing. And so it takes away from the movie because they keep cutting back and forth to him doing what seems inconsequential. It lasts too long, but they barely talk.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we doing, you know?
Because like that's also supposed to be the heart of it, is like the thing. Because this is the other thing about Tron, is Tron very much is a story of these inventions, these new technologies, even the technology that is creating this movie, are not evil.
Yeah.
Ares is literally a weapon system that wants to be a real boy. And all these like things around it, like all the good things, like Athena is supposed to be a security system that goes off the rails because it gets the wrong commands. And then at the same time, like you have Master Control that was just a routine chess program that went off the rails in the original movie. Like the entire point of this is like these technologies are not inherently evil. It is how they are used and how they are reined in that are determine their value. And so in that same way, it's like this is basically Flynn like vetting him and being like, all right, so you're like a benign, benevolent dude, and I jive with that.
It's fine.
You didn't have to like drive around the grid to get here. He should have just shown up. And Flynn should have just been there and we could have just had this moment.
Yeah. So it gets the permanence code, and Flynn is even like more like the impermanence code, idiot, because then you only have one life. Jared Leto's like, yeah, that's what I want. He's like, okay, cool, bye. And then he flies away, and Flynn kind of de-reses a little bit. He like turns transparent. And I'm glad that like he exists, you know, still in this universe.
He does the thing, he holds up the disc, and it's like, oh yeah, it's Tron.
Yep, that's there. There you go. You're Tron now. But yeah, he gets like a weird pattern over his chest that's just different, and he becomes white. So it's like, okay,
Well,
cool.
first of all, he has no color, which I think is a beautiful choice.
the monochrome.
He comes out and he's just in a black suit with his disc has no lights. He has no lights. I was like, I don't have a way out. They're supposed to get me out. And he was like, I got a back door to my old place. And I'm like, how? When they set up this place, did Sam know to set up a back door to Flynn's arcade? What's going on?
We just did it. We found out the through line. They're technically supposed to be in LA.
Yeah.
Because that's Flynn's arcade.
Yeah.
Oh my God. By the way, demolish the fucking place. Are you kidding me? It's been 30 years.
Yeah. So Big Door was supposed to be there the whole time. We were robbed of Big Door.
This is why people are mad online.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he
No, that's how powerful he is now. Is that he flies all the way from LA to
God. As well as I like the idea that the city council's like, we keep trying to demolish this one building, but for some reason the plans keep getting deleted.
Yeah, they knock it down and the next day a big laser rebuilds it every time.
Yeah, so he's, brought back
Never
to
get past
life.
the Big Door.
Yeah, he's apparated by this beam that's in the original Flynn's workshop, which is kind of nice to see from Tron Legacy. And he just breaks out and then runs across town over to them. Now, something that I thought was kind of funny is that let's go into the recognizer fight, and we have the 2 jets, and we also have the 2 programs, and then we have the recognizer. I'm gonna be real, in the theater in IMAX, in Dolby it was fine. It was kind of overbearing how much bass there is when not only that music happens, but like the sound of the recognizer. In IMAX, it was too much. The bass there, I was like, this is obnoxious. Like, it hurts how loud it was. It achieved what it was supposed to, but I was like, guys, come on, we can find a happy middle here. Additionally, IMAX and Dolby have different glasses. The ones we got in Dolby were heavier. The ones in IMAX are the ones that they've had ever since like 2012.
Oh, like the really light ones with like the big lenses?
Yeah, the plastic ones. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, the Dolby ones gave me a headache because they're just squeezed. I have a big noodle, and they squeeze my noodle.
And also the IMAX ones are a little taller because the screen is taller. I definitely think that the additional visuals helped and made it a little bit more immersive, but at the same time, the music was overbearing.
I would have loved to see it in IMAX and Dolby and not 3D. I cannot stress enough how much I do not care about 3D.
I still think that the 3D was the best that I've seen ever.
I don't think it added anything for me. I think it's the best 3D.
Sure.
Yeah, I could pay extra for this, but I'm not going to use it.
Fair enough. I thought it really transformed the experience for me. And here we are with the recognizer, and genuinely, I don't remember too much besides Eve running.
It starts with like she has to like run out of the building, which is a surprisingly long amount of time.
Yeah.
This is the most unrealistic part of the movie is that the CTO of the company knows how to hack the other company.
Yeah, I don't know who these filmmakers are, but I think you misunderstand how corporate is run because they're like, that's why I have the corner office. I'm like, no, it's because you I was gonna say kill people, but I'm like, no, it's because you fire people at the right time, probably.
Yeah, like being a CTO is not an easy job. Understanding complex technical problems and stuff, depending on what company you're at, because there's some CTOs that is literally just like knowing how and when to sell technology.
Exactly, yeah.
I would never in a million years be like, yeah, I need a CTO if I'm going to hack into another place. I would have put more money on the guy who built the laser gun hacking into Dillinger systems than Hassan Minhaj. Yeah. Although it's a nice payoff to show like these are the ragtag friends that helped her, that have been helping her this whole time, to show that like they've always been like a little clique, but also just like, I don't know why that is much. I guess it's just because I've been in the industry, so I was like, that was my line.
The only person I can imagine is kind of similar was Satoru Iwata, who, as well as Shigeru Miyamoto, who are like very good programmers in their own right and did help like the production, but we're also executives.
Yeah.
So apparently Greta Lee, the actress that plays Eve, was said that like it was like torture, that they had to record every time the movie happens within like a 24-hour span.
Yeah.
So apparently all of the night stuff they had to record, of course, at night in Vancouver. So she said it was an 6 or 8 week long shoot at night. And she's like, that was excruciating. And like the director looks at her and he's like, it wasn't that bad. And she's like,
you didn't have to run.
Yeah. Yes. Because apparently Jared Leto looks at her and he's like, you had to run a lot, didn't you? And she's like, yeah, it sucked.
Like she's literally running constantly the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. And so apparently she just was sleep deprived and running for the last like act of not only the movie, but the production, which It sucks. I mean, it's funny.
I mean, it shows on her face. I believe she's tired.
Yeah, in a lot of these interviews, it seems like she's just kind of like, I'm glad it's over and it's cool to just hang out with y'all. So yeah, she's just running away from the recognizer. We get the recognizer, shooting a bunch of these drones out, which looks really cool, as well as the fighter jets are trying to take out the different like Tron jets, and that those ones can create the ribbons that kind of perfectly fit with their wings, and it looks cool and it works. And then one of the jets hits the recognizer and the recognizer goes down. That's kind of the whole thing that happens. And then the recognizer, after it goes down, is de-rezzed, and then that tank that we saw at the beginning of the movie comes out. And the tank at the beginning of the movie...
It's like the turducken. It's so funny.
Yeah, but even the tank at the beginning of the movie is just a tank. It doesn't have guns on it, it didn't seem. Yeah,
because it's like
it's a people mover.
Imagine, like, if they had ever shown us a tank in this world that shot things.
Yeah, they'd be like, well, we can't think that hard about it. That's too extreme. So then it picks up Eve. She takes Eve, puts on Tron handcuffs on her, and then Ares shows up, and he's in the middle of the street, and there's still cars going by, and I'm like, guys, get out of this
There are
war
literal
zone.
like laser missiles in the sky. Why would you still be driving around? If I saw laser missiles in the sky, I would
not be in downtown Vancouver. Yeah. So yeah, he shows up, and then they have their cool fight scene. And I'm going to be frank with you that the third act of this movie kind of felt a little like my eyes glazed over, because I'd already seen all the stuff I wanted to see. I'm like, we already got a really cool ribbon staff fight. We already got awesome action with all of the vehicles. It all looked really good. And so now we're here, and they're just fighting on the ground with the ribbon things.
Yeah.
And it's also cut in such a way when I was watching the editing where I'm like, okay, I get the geography of the fight, but like, I'm just waiting for somebody to hit the other person in something like D-Res. That was about it. I don't know if you had a different experience.
Because they had the fight. Like, it's cool because, okay, first of all, she's trapped. Like, the drones trap her in like a big cyclone of ribbon light.
Yeah.
So like that is visually interesting that she's just like spooked and trapped there.
Sure.
And then like the recognizer comes and she's like, oh, I'm double screwed. And so like you have like these building elements, and then it just evolves into like a 3-on-1 fight.
Yeah.
And it's a little, like it feels like a bit of a letdown, even though like he does like take out the other two.
Yeah, and it looked fine. And he uses his Dorito, and she throws the Dorito to him.
Yeah, he loses the Dorito, and then he's about to lose, and she says, on your left, and she throws the Dorito back at him, and the Captain Falcon, or Captain America, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier come through, and they shoot their big missile at him.
Yep. And then Athena is, he cuts off, does he cut off her arm? What does he even do? Yeah, that was it.
This is, if I could do one rewrite. Across the movie, Athena has her own empathy arc. And at the end of the movie, she's just treated like this irredeemable creature, even though she's probably one of the most redeemable characters in the entire thing, because she's never actively malicious for the sake of being malicious. Dillinger is the only person in the entire film who is just the biggest piece of crap and like has actively chosen to be a piece of crap. Athena, much like Ares, is only doing what she's being told and following it to its logical conclusion based on like the worst prompt possible.
Exactly.
I kind of was hoping that like she would have this moment of empathy, and that since Tron has like the little like data for the permanence code on
Ares,
him, I thought he was gonna like touch his Doritos Locos disc to her Doritos Locos disc, and then she was gonna get the permanence code, and maybe like she would live for the rest of her life with like one arm or something, and they would like hang out together, because it would solve like this. It would be like a better than like just needlessly killing her and making her seem like the super villain that needed to be put down when she's not even the actual villain. And two, it would just solve the annoying thing, which is like Ares does not need to be with anyone else who is not from the grid. And to do so would be weird.
I even mentioned when we were talking that I'm like, I feel like all these programs are like Ken and Barbie dolls where they don't have any genitalia, which would be, smooth. I hope so. I hope it's like that. But yeah, I would have liked Athena being like de-rezzed, or like at the very end she gets sucked into the OG grid, and then she hangs out with like Flynn. Flynn talks to her. Like, we just see that as a denouement of her walking with Flynn. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Like as some
sort of like
rehabilitation kind of thing.
It's not even rehabilitation, because I don't think she needed to be rehabilitated. I think she just needed to be put somewhere where she's not being abused the same way that Ares.
Yeah. And it's very easy in screenwriting to just write that like the bad guys, this person is irredeemable, they're bad, they die. And that's what they did. But yeah, I think it would have been nicer. And then we get the moment of them like having their shawarma, you know, after the Avengers. They're sitting there, and Eve says, "I think I broke a rib." And then you want to say what you said after the movie?
I don't remember what I said.
What you said after the movie is like, wow, this is because we had talked about how it's like Adam and Eve and like the biblical story of creating life. And it's like, wow, she broke her rib and then he was given life. It's like the opposite of Adam and Eve. And I know you were taking the piss, but I'm like, yeah, it kind of is that. And yeah, they kind of talk about like, I'm not actually going to quit. I'm going to stick around. What are you going to do? And he's like, fuck all. I'm going to go find something to do, I guess.
Buy a Ducati and then drive around Europe.
This is one of those cuts that was so funny because Eve is sitting there like, you know, I'm going to change the world. Hey, you know, Encom has done all of these incredible things in the denouement where they're talking about like what happened after that. And she's like, we solved cancer and we're feeding underprivileged people.
Remember, kids, the good CEO is all like, it's not it's not CEOs that are bad. It's the bad CEOs that are bad. Yeah. Remember that give big corporation your money and everything will turn out good eventually.
Yeah. Corporate espionage is good when the good people create
don't worry about the CEO that comes after Eve and is only worried about profits.
Yep. Or if Seth, the dipshit, becomes a CEO. Yeah. But at the very end, she gets a postcard. She's like, who sends postcards? And then we hard cut to Jared Leto in a perfume commercial. It's like, okay, so we saw this in a small theater. Unfortunately, not many people are watching this movie. So like on premiere night, we saw nobody in the theater. Then when I went and saw it on Friday night, still nobody was in the theater, but there was still an audible laugh at card cutting to Jared Leto looking all sexy in like Dubai or wherever he was. And I was like, okay, man, cool. And he's talking about like, he does a couple of like references to the movie of like in a nutshell and saying some of these other things. But it's kind of nice to be like, he's like, I'm going to go try to find Cora from the first movie or from Tron Legacy and see what she's up to. I'm convinced, and I could be wrong, but I'm convinced that they were like, this is a soft reboot, but we could leave it here because the end is we're done. We created the replicator from Star Trek. I don't know where we go from here besides like a Saturday morning cartoon of like what all these people are doing. So the ending felt pretty definitive until the mid-credits scene.
So good. So the mid-credits scene makes more sense if you've like seen the Flynn's live stuff.
Yes, for this one reason. So we've kind of avoided talking about Julian Dillinger for a while because he just kind of like is feckless for the end of it. He just watches his mom die and is like, I'm going to go to jail. And so he escapes to the grid at the very end. And this is the grid that's been nuked.
He sets it from blow to suck.
Yes. And then when he's in the grid, he's like, oh my God, all this stuff is destroyed. I'm here in the mid-credits scene. And then a little monolith pops up. It's got a disc. And you can hear in the background someone whispering, Sark. And then he picks it up. And then he goes, ah. And then it creates the costume that Sark had in the first Tron. And I thought that was really silly because it doesn't mean anything, if I'm being real. What do you think?
I think it was the original Tron disc. It was literally just the most pristinely white Frisbee you've ever seen.
Sure.
With the most perfectly drawn red circles on it. Like I was like looking at it and I was like, this is the cheapest prop in this entire film.
Sure.
This is so cheap. And it was so freaking funny to look at him ogle what you know is just a like $5 Frisbee.
Okay, I'll take that.
But then if you know the Flynn's Alive stuff, you also know like there's this like dad whatever. So if he is Sark, if there's the your soul lives in the machine thing, and the same way that Sam is a little bit Flynn and a little bit Clue or whatever.
Sure.
It's not the like weirdest pull.
This is the one way I think they could have salvaged it. Is if he goes into the grid and he's like, oh God, this place looks like shit. What is happening? And then the payload nuke exposes an older piece of their grid and the actual MCU or MCP comes out and you see it and it's looming and it looks really cool and new, like a newer version of it. But it's very obvious it's the MCP. And then it like looks at him and it's just like Dillinger. And then he's just like, oh crap. And so we know from the next day thing, as well as that Easter egg from the Tron Legacy disc, that there is a version of the MCP that's alive. So having that come back and then it showing him the disc and then saying, you can regain your power if you use this. And then he takes it, and what happens to him, he like is wrenched back, just like how Sark was when the MCP would like torture him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been a good example of him not only getting back a little bit of power that could be menacing for the next movie because the MCP is back, but also showing that he is being tortured by the MCP to get out. I think that would have been a good way that we can kind of cover both things without it being very, very open-ended in what I thought was a dumb way.
I think that, like, if they do a sequel, that might be what happens. Like, we find out that the MCP actually did that, suddenly pulling strings or some crap like that. Mm-hmm. But also, and I can't stress this enough, maybe just unplug the MPC or MCP.
It's fine. Just unplug the server. It's no big deal. So yes, we have come to the end of the movie. Let's get your quick thoughts on like the movie overall, and then I really want to just cover every single Easter egg so I didn't forget anything.
It's so weird how like Tron and its unique vibe and its unique everything somehow makes this narrow place, this narrow alleyway in which the weirdest thing works. Clue being a DH Jeff Bridges works. Jared Leto being a freaking weirdo works. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I think it is a kick-ass movie, and I was totally here for it. And it was just awesome.
I agree. I think it accomplishes exactly what it set out to do, and what I think all the Tron movies set out to do, to be the pinnacle of what we have to offer in the visual like splendor case. Same thing with what I mentioned with Avatar, where Avatar is kind of the fantasy version of this, while Tron is the industrial cyber version of this, and it looked crazy good. So if you're willing to go in with, I mean, you're in spoilers, you already know what's going on. So what I want to do is I just want to end off with a couple more Easter eggs that I saw that I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So right at the beginning where they are digitizing the oranges, Seth says it's all in the wrist. That is technically a callback to Tron Legacy when Flynn is piloting one of the planes and he says it's all in the wrist. So that's a quick callback. And there's a lot of these callbacks that are very minor, but if you're watching, you're like, I get it. It doesn't detract from the movie. I'm paying attention and noticing that. Somebody that doesn't know what that is doesn't really care, and it's okay. And then we have the Tron logo is always shown sideways. Have you noticed that?
No.
In the first Tron movie, it's shown sideways and then it like
turns,
rotates.
Yeah.
Yes. In the second Tron movie, it's in between two skyscrapers. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And then in this one, we go through the showing of his Dorito
the Dorito
identity
tower.
disc. Yeah, and then it's sideways again. So I don't know why. I might be misunderstanding, but for some reason they always do it where the logo is sideways and then it kind of rotates. So they did that again in this movie. We then go to a couple of things that we've already covered, which is the double helix, the ISO code, the big door. When they infiltrate the NCOM server, the grid, there is a portly gentleman who drops his coffee in almost the identical way that that portly security guard did in Tron Legacy. I know it's a small moment, but it is almost identical to the Tron Legacy moment. And then finally, the one thing that I realized that I'm like, bro, I don't know if you needed to make this reference, but I'm glad you did, which was the DuPont recycling shipping containers. Yes. Did you not notice that those were the same shipping containers that Sam was living out of in his home?
Yeah.
So when they're running away from, Eve is running away from the two programs, she's running into a shipping yard, and they actually have the shipping containers that Sam was more or less living out of for his entire
he turned to the left, and Sam's waving at them like, hey guys, do you want help? No? Okay, I'll stay over here.
I actually thought he was going to show up. I thought that's where he was hiding or something. I don't know why I was like, oh, well, cool. That's exactly what he's been doing.
I mean, that would have been a great, like, they kept him out of the trailers and everything just to have him actually show up, but no.
And that's what really frustrates me about the trailers. Really pissed me off because they showed way too much. They showed not only you go back to the OG grid, but also the recognizer at the end. If you didn't have either of those, if you just showed the cool grid stuff, as well as the one part of the, police car being cut in half, that would have been fine. But the fact that they covered basically all of the big set pieces of the movie really frustrated me. That's about all I have. And I just don't understand how you could go to this movie and not allow the music and the visuals to just completely scrub your brain of all of the really stupid storytelling plots.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those movies. Like, this is the same thing I was talking about with the other ones. It lives and dies on the
It's the rule of cool.
No, it lives and dies in the storyboards.
Sure.
Like, it's the kind of movie that's like, yeah, it has like a serviceable plot, but you're not here for like some over the top allegory about God. You're here for the guy who throws the big disc at the other guy who throws the big disc, and they walk up the building and they jump out of the thing, and the little thing turns into a motorcycle, and then it turns into an airplane.
It's exactly that. It's exactly the fact that you're trying to enjoy visual splendor, and if you go into it for that, it's exactly what you're going to get. I hope that they maybe make another one, but I'm totally okay if they don't, because they might need to use Jared Leto again, and I don't want to see him again. I don't know what it is. The one meme that was all around the internet is how much everybody was like, I don't want to see this movie just because of Jared Leto. And that was the end of our last video. And I wanted to end on my favorite meme that I saw, which was that Tron has always had this iconic poster, and the poster shows like the main character holding up a disc and then like a pretty lady next to them. I don't think we need that in the 21st century, but they show that it says, despite it being the trend for the older movie posters, Tron Ares is missing a beautiful woman at the side of the lead actor. This is because no woman was comfortable with being next to Jared Leto.